much indeed. So, who will be the leader of the opposition? Shortly after 5 o'clock this afternoon, we learned it's not going to be Angela Regal. She withdrew. Clear that she had less support from MPs than her rival challenger Owen Smith. There's no formal rule that stops a woman rising to the top of the Labour Party. It just never seems to happen. And so the great contest this summer is between Owen Smith and Jeremy Corbyn. It's already underway. And if you support the aims of the Labour Party, you can vote in it if you want by paying £25 and registering by 5 p.m. tomorrow. More expensive than voting in X Factor, but more important too. Well, our political editor, Nick Watt, is with me. Nick, the campaigns have started. The race is on. I mean, what do we know so far about them?
Well, a bit of a mixed picture for Jeremy Corbyn. He took a bit of a hit today when his attempt on the National Executive Committee to overturn some very strict rules, £25 fee to be a registered supporter, that stays. A February cut-off to be a member, that stays. But what we do know is it appears that about 40,000 people may have signed up as registered supporters. The deadline is tomorrow. The reason why we know that is that a senior Labour figure says that the party has taken £1 million in the last few days. So divide that by 25 and you get 40,000. What we do know is that Jeremy Corbyn is trying to reprise the very successful tactics that he had last year. So lots of union support. Senior Labour source told me that there are 50 people manning phones in Newsnight offices in London today, talking to supporters. And another thing, Momentum, that group that's supporting Jeremy Corbyn, they sent out an email saying to their supporters saying you can phone up, you can canvass people from the comfort of your own sitting room using our special app. That was an app that they devised last year, worked very well last year.
I mean, let's just look ahead and we'll discuss this in a few minutes. But if Jeremy Corbyn wins, does the party split?
I sense that the anti-Corbyn forces believe that they face a formidable challenge because there was that YouGov poll which showed that Jeremy Corbyn is ahead against any candidate. But I do not sense that there is an appetite for a split. What there is an appetite for amongst the plotters against him is for a war of attrition, to keep coming back, to say that he will fail, to come back again. And interestingly, tonight there's talk of reviving the old tradition that was abandoned by Ed Miliband to have elections to the shadow cabinet. And what that would mean is that Jeremy Corbyn would not be able to appoint his shadow cabinet. And remember, 176 out of 231 Labour MPs said they had no confidence in him. They would be appointing the shadow cabinet.
OK, we'll talk about some of that. I would say it feels like a right royal battle for the heart and soul of the Labour Party, except many in the party don't believe in royalty. But what is clear is that a weird democratic experiment is underway. Given that window of 48 hours in which you can pay, register and vote, the whole campaigning effort by the side is directed at getting supporters to sign up. And all by tomorrow afternoon at 5. A huge mobilisation is underway. Grassroots campaigners. There's Momentum, as Nick just mentioned, backing Jeremy Corbyn. And there's another group called Saving Labour, backing anybody but Corbyn. Secunda Kamani has spent the last 2 days on the Labour front line. And our warning, his piece contains some uncomradely language.
Are you interested in voting against Jeremy Corbyn?
Across the country, rival Labour factions are battling it out.
To support the Labour Party, to support Jeremy Corbyn.
They're vying for the backing of party members.
Do you know how you're planning on voting?
Not for him.
But the focus now is on ordinary supporters who have until tomorrow afternoon to register for a say in the leadership race if they pay £25.
Jeremy Corbyn is a fucking disgrace.
Rush hour in central London, and Saving Labour are trying to convince people to sign up to vote out Jeremy Corbyn.
I've never known a time like it. I mean, this guy's appalling.
Oh no, he's horrendous.
At
He's like
every level.
Worse.
I'm Jewish as well, so
oh God,
I'm feeling the anti-Semitism in my own party.
Yeah, it's
and quite frankly, now is the time for people to actually step forward, and I'm thinking of it myself at the moment, to actually step forward and actually save this party. If Mr. Miliband, and I'm talking about David now, actually thinks anything of this party, OK, sod his charitable job in New York City, get back and sort this bloody thing out. He's the only...
But right now, we need people like you to sign up. Like, in the, we need to get rid of Corbyn. I know it's a longer road than that, but right now it's like chopping the head of a monster.
We're campaigning for strong opposition, strong leadership, and not
you
against...
don't think Corbyn's a strong leader?
No, at the moment, the situation in front of us says otherwise, so we don't believe it.
But you like his values, but yeah, because you think he's not going to get support, you...
I mean, it's a bit more... It's complicated in the sense of that we agree with the politics as a whole.
Well,
but
if
it's
you believe with someone's values, then
Yeah.
you shouldn't be like, well, they're not getting enough support. Let's, support someone who might
Yeah.
be stronger.
Meanwhile, during a sunny Sheffield lunch hour, the left-wing campaign group Momentum are making the case for Jeremy Corbyn.
I was following him online now, when he had it on Facebook. And he said
some good stuff.
Yeah.
He wants to hear everybody's voice anyway, so
it stands up for the working class, so that's what I like about it. So.
Exactly.
I might vote. I might
You've
register.
got until tomorrow at 5,
And
so...
it's £25, isn't it?
It is £25, but it's worth having your say, isn't it?
The Labour Party is being destroyed. It is being destroyed, and that's all I'm going to say. And he is part of that destruction. He really is. How can he hold power when all the time he sat on the back benches and never voted with the Labour Party practically? Because he disagreed with,
He's always voted.
He's been so far on the left wing.
He's always voted
You have to
based
have a
on.
consensus.
He's always voted based.
And it's
No, he's always
on his
voted based on either his conscience or the consensus of his constituents.
With Labour's divide running so deep, there's talk of the split becoming permanent.
It's the faith supporters. You've lost. You've
Sure,
lost.
I know,
You've
it's
lost
gonna
them
take a
in
long
Scot-
road to win them back.
So
Like,
actually,
I do understand
perhaps
that,
we
but
shouldn't
it's
be
the
having
first
this
thing.
conversation about saving Labour. Perhaps we should be creating new Labour.
I just don't think a split would work. Like, I get what you're saying, I totally understand, but in the long term, yeah, like, totally.
I don't think there's a credible candidate to stand
I mean,
up
do you think in
against.
terms of policies, I mean, there's no real difference between, for example, Owen Smith and Jeremy?
Well,
like, in
there
terms
is
of policies?
Trident's a point of difference, and I think.
I mean, is that so important to you, though, that you'd rather lose an election for that?
I'm not convinced Owen Smith can win an election.
Jeremy Corbyn definitely can't win an election.
Well, that's where we'll have to agree to disagree.
A poll out today suggested Jeremy Corbyn would easily win the race, although who trusts polls these days?
at the end of the day, we're a political party, and we can only change things if we are in government.
Yeah.
Therefore, for us, the most important thing at the moment is getting us into government with the right values. So if
He does have the right values.
he does, of course, but he doesn't.
Then
He's not the
what's the
person to get us
problem?
into government
Why not?
because, well, the polling at the moment would suggest otherwise.
Then you should change the polls, make people vote for him.
Will you be voting for Jeremy?
Yes, I like it.
Thank
Just let him breathe.
Yes.
Let him breathe. Stop.
Give him 5 minutes on the telly as well.
Yeah, just let him breathe a little bit and get his thoughts about somebody decking it into him. He should do this, should do that. Let him do it.
Where was he when we had the referendum? Where was Jeremy
Did you know
Corbyn?
that Jeremy Corbyn gave the highest number of speeches out of any member of the Labour Party during the EU referendum?
It would be wrong to write off the anti-Corbyn faction,
Unless people like you sign up, like, it won't work.
Okay, look,
So,
I'll
yeah,
sign up.
especially with a long summer of campaigning ahead to influence party members. But the Corbyn campaign does inspire a passion that's harder for moderates to match. Anyone who's not a party member has until 5 p.m. tomorrow to be able to register to cast a vote for either side.
Secunda Kamani. Well, I'm joined by Stephen Kinnock, MP, who is supporting Owen Smith, and by James Schneider from the pro-Jeremy Corbyn Momentum group. Evening to you both. James, if Owen Smith wins the leadership, will you go out and bat for Labour?
Yeah,
enthusiastically
absolutely.
and loyally?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
You'll accept the result?
Absolutely. Everyone should accept the result. We've got a democratic election, and then whoever wins, we should get behind who's supported, and we should move forward as a party. Absolutely.
I've got to ask you the same question about Jeremy Corbyn, Stephen.
I will continue to be honoured to serve my constituents from the backbenches. I have voted in favour of a motion of no confidence in Jeremy. That means I couldn't possibly serve on the front bench, although I doubt I'd be invited to do so.
Right.
But I'd be happy to serve from the backbenches.
Nick Watt, our political editor, saying earlier that he thought the plan might be for a kind of war of attrition against Jeremy Corbyn if he wins, as seems likely, an attempt to get shadow cabinet elections, which would shoulder him with a shadow cabinet he doesn't really want. Would you serve in the shadow cabinet if there were elected shadow cabinet members?
I think it's a real struggle to serve for somebody where you've actually voted that you have no confidence in their leadership. But I don't want to speculate about that. What I want to say is we now have Owen Smith as a very talented politician coming forward with the courage to stand up and save the Labour Party. And I'm absolutely convinced that over the coming months, we'll see the opinion of the membership swing in behind Owen, precisely because if we don't have a new leader, we cannot form a credible opposition. If you can't form a front bench, you don't function as a credible opposition. This is about saving our democracy as much as about saving the Labour Party.
James Schneider, can I just ask you about that sort of war of attrition? Because some people will have their head in their hands in despair at the idea that this isn't going to be resolved, and we just face essentially a continual battle within the opposition rather than a battle between the opposition and the government.
Yeah, I find the idea of a war of attrition extremely disappointing. I think what we need to see at the end of the leadership election is as many MPs as possible working behind the leader, whichever one is elected, and then also working with the party members. We're now the largest left-of-centre party in Europe. We've got over 500,000 members. It's going to increase, I think, after membership opens again, seeing if the registered
40,000 today or something.
Seeing if the registered supporters want to join. We, Momentum, be making lots and lots of phone calls, lots of interest in joining up. And I think what we'll need to do when we come together is make an asset out of our membership far more than we have.
But you will oppose, as rigorously you can, MPs voting for the shadow cabinet, I assume, because that would just shoulder the leader with a shadow cabinet who disagree with him on probably everything.
That's something that I would have to go through party conferences, not something that I have to say I've thought about.
Can I just ask about Owen Smith? I mean, because you think he'll win, in his background, and I know the Times are reporting on this tomorrow, it's not a secret, he was a lobbyist at some point, served for Pfizer, the American pharmaceutical company. Do you think that will be something that will be held against him?
No, because I think what Owen represents is a new chapter, a fresh start for the party. He entered Parliament in 2010. He's not got a Brownite label or a Blairite label. He is Labour, Labour to his fingertips. He did his launch from his constituency. That's where he lived his politics and learned his politics. He's got Labour values, and he's had the courage and the determination to stand in what is a very difficult time for our party. And I'm convinced that the membership will get behind him. Because he's got the values and the determination that we need to win. Right.
And you know his position on the private healthcare in the NHS is what? What is his position on that now?
Well, Owen has come out and said very clearly that we need things, for example, like a New Deal for Britain, £200 billion to invest in our working class.
Private healthcare in the NHS. Well, do you know what his view on that is?
I'll tell you which Owen is. He's a Bevanite, and he supports the National Health Service, free at the point of delivery. It's one of the great assets of our nation, created by the Labour Party. Owen will stand foursquare behind that.
We will potentially get back to that. Can I ask you
what Jeremy Corbyn's position is?
No, we know Jeremy Corbyn's position. No need to detain ourselves on that. Can I just ask you, James, it is possible that there will be a split if Jeremy Corbyn wins, that the MPs will declare UDI. They then get the money that the state gives the opposition. They become the opposition in Parliament. They get the money that the opposition get in Parliament. That would leave you, or your side, or your residual Labour Party, you can have all the people on the streets, but it leaves your residual Labour Party in some trouble, doesn't it?
I don't think that's a very helpful hypothetical. I think what we've got now is a leadership election which is going to be about policies, it's going to be about ideas, and then afterwards we need to have members who seem to overwhelmingly support Corbyn, and the MPs need to talk and they need to understand what one another's positions are. And I think there's been too little so far of the MPs understanding the direction that the members want to take, how they wish to transform the party, because we have to remember that it's not like Labour is in difficulty now. We've had 2 bad general election defeats. There's a crisis for social democracy across the Western world, and we need to have a new model party that is fit for the 21st century, that uses a mass membership, that organises in communities. And I think we need to hear a lot more of that getting through to MPs. And I think as that message does get through and MPs do respect the democratic mandate that hopefully Jeremy Corbyn will win again, we won't be having these kind of hypothetical discussions.
James calls it an unhelpful hypothetical. Can you tell me, Stephen Kinnock, that you have not been in any conversations about such a scenario or plotting out what the trajectory would be if it was necessary?
Absolutely, and I can tell you I joined the Labour Party in 1985.
You've had no conversations about the party splitting?
I have not had a single conversation about the party splitting. There is only one Labour Party. It is the party that I believe is the one that I joined, and it believes in gaining power for working people through a parliamentary democratic system. And what we know is you cannot do that when you have a leader who has lost the confidence of the parliamentary Labour Party.
If you have that leader, what happens?
Well, as I've said, those of us who have given a motion of no confidence will be honoured to serve our constituents from the back benches, and it will be up to the leader to figure out how he forms a credible and effective opposition. I see it as a very difficult challenge for him to face. But what I also know is we have now Owen Smith in place. The party unites behind him, and we will win this thing.
It's going to be an interesting summer. Thank you both very much.